So laying down, so just finding your way there in whatever way kind of feels suitable. For props today, blocks may or may not come in handy for you, but we're just gonna make our way down and just kind of land and give the body a moment to calibrate and settle. And get a little bit picky about how you adjust and kind of settle yourself onto your mat. So taking those little wiggles or last minor adjustments to surrender the back of the spine down into the earth. Notice if you're still holding at the ankles, or if you can just let those go a little bit, perhaps the feet begin to soften a little bit more out to the side. And then I'd like you to just bring your attention towards your shoulders and just see as you've landed on the mat, are they just kind of rounding up and away from the floor? Or is there an opportunity to kind of send your heart a little bit higher as you tuck the shoulder blades in, creating this broadness across the chest? And then finding your way to a soft breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, just surrendering to that sinking down as the body gets a little heavier. Releasing any effort or holding, perhaps, in the body. And then I'd like to invite you to just invite maybe a gentle bend in through the elbows as you find the palms of your hands finding their way to your belly. It doesn't have to be exact, just wherever it feels comfortable for that bend in your arms. So the hands are somewhere landing on the torso. Now feel your breath. Where do you connect to and notice that movement in the physical body as you draw breath in and out? Have the shoulders gone back to feeling a little more rigid or active as you pay mind now into your breathing, allowing them to soften? And let us relax the neck a little deeper so you can actually feel the skull sink a little bit heavier into the mat. You begin to lighten the tissues around the face, perhaps unlocking the jaw now. Feel that washing over you of ease. And then maybe the next time you come into an inhale, we'll guide that breath a little bit deeper down towards the center of the belly, feeling the belly rise up. As you exhale, just allow the belly to effortlessly sink back down, softening the backs of your hips, the weight of your body grounding you to the earth. Unlock any tension being held in through the torso and the belly, even the hips and your groin. Just beginning to allow those to get a little softer. And with this kind of tactile awareness of the movement of the breath now, with the hands on the belly, connecting to that beautiful rhythmic rising and falling with each breath. I'd like to guide us with a little bit of counted breath, just to work on extending our exhale a little bit longer than the inhale, so we can welcome that activation of our parasympathetic, that place of rest and digest, our nervous system, allowing the physical body to truly trust now that it can heal, restore. So when you're ready, let's find a deep inhale in through the nose. Feel that belly rise up. And just let the breath go. Beautiful. Now let's breathe in here deeply for a count of 4. And just a gentle pause here at the top of that count, holding the breath. And then let's sip the breath out slowly here for 6, 3, 2, 1. And inhale again, deeply 4. Gentle pause and hold. And slowly sip the breath out, 6. Good job again. Breathe in, 4, 3, 2, 1. Soft hold. Exhale out the nose, slowing it down, 6, 3, 2, 1. Last time. Inhale, 4. Holding here. Slow exhale out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just allow your natural breath to return. Dropping into feeling, noticing any shifts in the physical body, or maybe even the tempo of your breath has adjusted. Taking 2 to 3 more cycles of breath here. And then allowing your hands to return back along the side body, maybe palms face up or down, wherever they've landed naturally for you. Enjoy your practice, everyone. So slow and gentle, just rocking of the head from side to side. Let's massage out the back of the skull. Keeping the shoulders nice and quiet here as you allow the skull to rotate, and just getting into those little nooks and crannies in through the neck. Ensuring a softness to be inside of the mouth, just allowing that clenching of teeth. And slowly we can welcome some movement into the extremities. And then eventually coming to bring a bend into either leg. Let's place soles of feet onto the earth. And then just taking a moment to kind of lift the pelvis, move the tailbone forward as you soften the small of your back down. And I'd like you to just pause here for a moment and feel into the spine where it connects to the ground. And then bringing our knees towards chest, taking hold of the legs anywhere which is available, maybe behind thighs or shins or knees. And then just give yourself a little bit of a hug here as you exhale. Bring the knees in a little bit closer and sink the tailbone down. Try to avoid this kind of curling of the pelvis up. I want you to actively press the back of your spine into the earth. As you inhale, release that tension and hold and grip. As you exhale, sink and settle down into the earth. One more here. Great job. And then our legs will just come to return. We'll either roll our way to the side, or you can more than welcome roll yourself up and down on the spine. Just massage out the back. We're going to meet in our tabletop and come into our cat-cow. So taking the hands and the fingers nice and wide, and then kind of placing them underneath the shoulders as long as the wrists feel okay. Otherwise, we're moving those wrists a little further forward. And then knees underneath hips. It's up to you whether or not you wish to curl the toes under or leave them flat. And let's just move the body now with breath as we come into cat-cow. So as you inhale, drop the heart, lift the tailbone, look up. Beautiful. And then as you exhale, round the spine, drop the head, curl the tailbone towards the nose here. Really activate through the pelvis. On your breath, inhale forward into cow. So meeting yourself at your own personal rhythm with your breath, exploring here where any of those tight places or spaces are. And also getting curious about the length of that movement and how it mirrors the breath. Notice where your body's tendency is to get tense again as you explore this movement. Where can you release or maybe send the breath there to just invite in a little softening. I'm finishing one more round here. I invite you to soften the shins, the tops of the feet. Beautiful. And then once you find yourself coming back to a neutral spine, we're just going to start to extend this right leg out behind. So plug the toes into the floor if they weren't there already. You're going to lift that leg up and cross it behind us and plug your toes in towards the left. So as much as you kind of have this pull happening off to the side, I'd like you to think about kind of squaring the hips forward and see if you start to notice a change in stretch as you do that. And then as we exhale, begin to start to curl your glance over that left shoulder and see if you can see that right foot. Pausing here to breathe. Keep energizing off those back right toes. Soften your elbows. We're not locking into the joints. Breathe into that gentle tissue along the side ribs. Notice a little deepening coming into that psoas. One more breath. Good job. And then bringing head back to neutral. Let's bring that right leg in. And then we're going to switch sides. So extend that left leg long, curl into toes. Lifting your leg, cross the back body, plug your toes in. And again, take that moment to adjust the hips. So try not to allow the body to sway off to the side. And then when you're ready, on an exhale, start to curl and look over right shoulder towards those left toes. Notice if one side was different than the other or where the body may be gripping or holding. Sometimes I find my supporting leg, that bent knee, is kind of really gripping in through the glute and the thighs. Just allow that to soften and breathe into the stretch. Okay, 2 more, 3 full cycles of breath here, deep belly breaths. Beautiful. And then let's turn our head back to neutral, bringing the leg in. Excellent. And then we're going to send kind of the right leg now directly out from the hip, out to the side. You're going to plug the sole of the foot down onto the earth. See if you can keep those right toes facing the front of your mat. Some of us, they may kind of tend to go out to the side. So actively change that rotation so you start to awaken and feel some movement or opening rather happening into the inside of that right leg. And then we're going to take this right hand and just kind of tent the fingertips towards the temples with the elbow bent. And then as you inhale, start to peel the body open here. Feel that rotation coming in through the mid-back. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to bring that right elbow towards inner left elbow. Just had a hip snap, crackle, pop there. I don't know if you heard that on the recording. Inhale, open up. Exhale. So I want you to connect to that feeling of that rolling rotation happening in through your center. So in through the ribs, the thoracic spine. And then also breathe into the inner thigh here as you root down through that little toe edge of the right foot. So you're actively lifting the inner arch of that right foot kind of off the floor. That leg's fully engaged. Good job. One more here. Move a little bit deeper. Excellent. And then we'll release. Good job. So bring the right leg in. Let's switch sides. Left leg's going to come out to the side. Take your time to set yourself up. Make sure that you've got, again, that little bit of micro bend in that supporting right arm. And then tenting the fingertips to a left temple, elbow bend. On your breath, inhale, fan the body open to the left. Exhale, twist and curl in. Notice your breath here. Is there a tendency to create a little shortness into the breath as you add in movement, or can you allow the breath to serve as your anchor with the length and hold and space you're creating with each breath? Bring in a lightening to the inside of the mouth. Let's finish out one more. See if there's space on that last opening up as you fan the body. Can you really feel that warming up of the spine? Good job. And then exhale, bring the hand back down, and let's bring the leg back in. All right. So just to add a little bit of warmth here, we're going to curl our toes under and come into our bear pose. So you want to keep the knees, again, just about hip width distance apart, curl the toes. And then as you inhale, I want you to power down through the palms of your hands. So feel like those little suction cups. And on your exhale, you're just going to push the ground away and lift those knees about 2 inches off of the floor. There's a little bit of a sweet spot there when you start to explore this posture, where if you go a little higher, the work becomes a little easier. So challenge yourself on that height from the floor. Soften into the elbows, feel the strength building. And there's this little also mild kind of puffing up through the upper back. So if we were working in the room together, there's this gentle rounding as if you were kind of pushing your upper back up into the palm of my hand. Good job. Lower back down. And just take a breath here to recalibrate. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, find length in your spine. Exhale, hover. Stay with the breath. Good job. Lower down. Take a breath of recovery. Feel the heat building in your tissues. And last one, inhale. Exhale, lift. Pressing the thighs almost together, creating that stability. Feel your heart beating. Maybe muscles are starting to shake a little bit. Good job. 2 more breaths. And down. Beautiful. So let's walk our knees back now, and we're going to find our way into our downward facing dog. So when ready, on breath, use an exhale to send the hips skyward, finding that extension out in your spine. Big toes together, heels apart, reach through your sitting bones. Unlock any tension, maybe in through the neck, gently shake the head no, nod the head yes. And keep actively rolling your shoulders away from your ears. Create that broadening across the upper mid-back. Sinking the heels down. Feel the back of the legs awaken. Inhale, maybe rise up high on the toes. Stretch out that fascial tissue in the bottoms of the feet. Exhale, drop them back down. Good job. And then let's walk our feet now up towards the top of the mat, so towards the hands. And then we'll bring our hands together into prayer. You're going to bend deeply at the knees. As you inhale, sweep the body up, rise up, look up at your thumbs. Exhale, hands to heart. Beautiful. And then from here, we're just going to take a big step out to the side as we come into our warrior two. So whichever way it makes sense for you to turn, we're going to step nice and wide here. And when you take your stance, I want you to think about kind of when your hands are extended, if your ankles were landing underneath your wrists or in and thereabouts, that kind of gives you a range as far as understanding how wide your stance should be, as long as it's feeling okay for the joints. Excuse me. And then let's start with right foot. So we're going to turn those right toes out to the side, so facing, whichever side of the mat, forward or back. And then I want you to play with the adjustment of this left heel, either swinging it out or bringing it in, so you get the hips facing the side of your mat. So make sure that those hips aren't kind of gearing towards that front leg. That's where you need to kind of play with that back foot. And then once you feel nice and steady there, let's inhale, sweep the arms up to shoulder height. Fingers are active here, so you're reaching the hands forward. And then as you exhale, sink deep into that right knee and sending that right knee out to the side. Straightening your back, make sure shoulders are stacked nicely on top of the hips here. And then we're going to move a little bit with our breath. So when you're ready on an inhale, begin to exalt your warrior. So sweep that right arm up, keep that bend in that front knee, finding length all the way up through your center. And exhale, back to two. Sink a little bit deeper. Good job. Inhale, exalt. Exhale, back to two. And let's go one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, two. And then let's hold here. I'd like you to challenge that strength in your legs a little bit. So sink the knee a little bit deeper as you also have this sense of lifting up through your core. Soften your gaze over that front middle finger. Soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Feel the strength of your body grounding down through the feet. Take 3 more breaths here. Beautiful job. One more deep breath. Excellent. And then let's straighten that right leg. Oh, it's going to feel nice. Release the arms. Turn those right toes in. And then let's turn the left toes out. So again, take some time to set your stance up. You want to feel kind of nice and steady and sturdy. And those hips are, again, right in line with the side of your mat. So making sure that all those things are in check. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up. And just do me a favor, start to crowd your shoulders towards your ears purposely, and then slide your shoulder blades down the back. So you feel that kind of rooting down. And then when you're ready, as you exhale, bend deep now into that left knee. Keep bringing the spine nice and tall. Think of that one little kind of, like someone could draw a box around your torso from shoulders to hips. You're nice and stacked here. Keep pressing down through the outside of that outer right foot. So it's like that inner arch is constantly being lifted. And then on breath, let's exalt our warriors. Inhale, sweep that left arm up. Reach, create length and space through the side body. Keep that bend deep in that front knee. Exhale, back to 2. Good job. Again, inhale. Exhale, 2. And last time, inhale. Sinking as you rise up. And back to 2. Taking some time here to just drop in a little deeper to the posture. Soften the areas of the body that are working maybe a little bit harder. And maybe you sink a little bit deeper into that left knee again, making sure that you send that knee out to the little toe edge. So we're not putting any pressure on the joint of the knee. Good job. One more breath. Beautiful. Straighten out that leg. You can turn the toes. And we can heel to walk our feet in. And then keeping the feet maybe just about hip width distance apart. Let's end in a Tadasana, please. So root down through your feet. Lift your toes off the floor and press down into the balls and the heels of your feet. And then release the toes down. Hands come along the side body. For some of us, palms will face forward with ease. Others, palms will face in towards the body. Again, just feel where it lands for you. And as you stand here, I'd like you to roll the shoulders back and down. And gently start to shift your weight back towards your heels until you feel your kneecaps start to turn on. Once you feel that kind of lifting and the legs awaken, this is where we land in Tadasana. So we're alert and tall and grounded and awake. Like this little imaginary puppet string is just pulling us up from the crown of our head, lengthening out. A gentle engagement through the core, yet the breath is still moving with ease. Notice if the body's tendency is to drop back forward to lessen that alertness of the legs. So find that spot. So it's really important that there's not a tucking of the tailbone here. There's a softening coming into the natural curvature of the spine as we find that midpoint in the soles of our feet. Find 3 more breaths here. Feel your heart beating. Final breath. Good job. And then allowing yourself to relax. Excellent. All right. So now we're going to explore some of our balancing today. So I'd like to explore dancer's pose. Now, if this is in your practice and it's familiar for you, then you know where we're going. If you wish to utilize some extra props at home, you by all means can use a strap around the sole of the foot, or I would also recommend coming close to something that you can hold onto for balance as we kind of explore that range. So sometimes like a chair with a high back is helpful, a dresser, a table, wherever you're close to. But sometimes when we're just kind of before we work into kind of deepening where we feel comfort and ease with the posture without falling out, it's nice to have that extra support, because then we get out of the headspace of worrying about falling because we know something's there. And then that helps you over time land a little bit longer into the posture. So beginning, actually, I'll start facing this way. We're going to start with the right side. So what I'd like you to do is ground down, root down through that left foot. And then as you come to bend this right leg, your hand or the use of a strap is going to come back and take hold of that foot. Now, what I often see is the knee kind of comes out to the side like this. I want you to invite that knee right in as if you were kind of zip tying the legs together. This might provide enough of a stretch for you as it is. Also, it's not incredibly important where you hold the foot. So sometimes we hold on the outside, sometimes we hold on the inside of the foot. I want you to find whatever makes the most sense for your shoulder and that rotation. Once you've zipped the leg together, we're going to explore raising that left hand up. And then you're going to slowly start to just press that right foot into either the strap or your hand as you tip yourself forward. So almost like you're creating this kind of like bow-like structure with the leg into the hand as you tip your weight. Keep noticing if that knee wants to kind of fan out to the right. I'd like you to guide it back into the center, the midpoint of the body. It doesn't matter how high we go with that foot. We're just, again, opening the chest and the shoulder and stretching out the leg. One more breath. Beautiful. And then slowly coming back out. And walk the legs out. Good job. So we'll switch sides. So right leg's going to ground down. We're going to find our sense of balance and take hold of that left foot and leg, whichever works. If you're using a strap, again, you're tying it to the bottom of that foot, and you can use that strap to help kind of lift over. So you'd be holding it with the opposing right hand. So on your breath, when you're ready, let's send your right arm nice and tall. As you exhale, find that tipping forward motion. Keep drawing that left knee back as you press into that left hand, creating this arc of the body. Tipping forward, also reaching up. Keep sending that back leg a little bit higher. If you're holding on to something, find that balance. One more breath. Beautiful. And then slowly start to reel back in. Walk the legs out. Good job. All right, we're going to meet at the top of our mats now, please. Placing blocks on either side of the feet if you'd like. We're going to come into our spinal extensions. So if you need that support, otherwise hands are comfortably coming to the floor in line with our toes. So bringing hands together, inhale, sweep the arms up. On an exhale with a flat back, find your hinge, forward fold. So again, you're either taking hold of those blocks as you bring the belly towards the thighs, or hands come to the floor in line with your toes. As you inhale now, let's straighten those legs, flatten the back out. So what that means, bring the heart towards the floor. As you reach the crown of your head forward, feel your body gently shifting its weight off the heels towards the toes. And then as you exhale, fold. Good job. And again, inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. Last one, inhale, straighten and extend. Exhale, soften. Just pause here for a few cycles of breath. Keep lifting the tailbone skyward as you look up towards your navel. Breathe into the backs of your legs. Find 2 more full rounds of breath here. Good job. And then just allowing ourselves to make our way down to our mat. Let's just come down maybe to knees to begin. And then we'll eventually find our way over onto our seat. We're going to come into our Janu Shirshasana, or single leg extension, but today we're going to work with the leg coming straight out and away. So we'll start with that left leg coming out straight from the hip socket. If you need to add a little padding, you can roll a blanket up at home and give yourself a little bit of an edge for the pelvis to give a little bit of lift. And then we're going to invite that right leg in towards, so the right foot rather presses into that inner left thigh. If this is uncomfortable with any space between the bent right leg and the floor, please feel free to wedge a block or any other kind of prop underneath. But we want to make sure that we're kind of tall in our seat. The spine is coming straight up. So whatever's happening with this bent leg, where they're supporting it or just allowing it to be free there. Okay? Good job. Now when you're ready on breath, I'd like you to inhale, sweep your arms straight up. So find that lengthen through your waist. And then as you exhale, hinge through the waist here and start to extend the body over that extended leg. So maybe our hands reach the foot. Maybe they land on either side of that leg. Where I'd like you to focus on is flattening your back out as you work to straighten that extended leg. Press the sole of that right foot to the inner thigh. And then once you feel you've kind of extended your spine as best as possible, so it's not rounding here, then once you've landed at that edge, invite the head to soften down. So it's important that we work this extension of the spine first before we round. This protects the lower back, and we're not creating any kind of torquing in through the pelvis or putting unnecessary pressure on the lumbar spine. So we always lift and extend before we soften over. Find 5 breaths here and deeply breathe into the back of that left leg. Make sure you're still actively pressing in through the sole of the right foot into that inner left thigh. All this activation just protecting the joints. Take 2 more full belly breaths here. On an inhale, allow yourself to peel back up. Good job. And then as we bring kind of this right leg into close, we're going to step that right leg over top of that extended left leg. So you've got nice kind of height coming in. You might already start to feel a bit of a stretch to the outside of that right leg. And you're going to walk that right leg in a little bit closer towards the hips if available. And then when you're ready, as you inhale, find that lengthen through the spine. And as you exhale, right hand's going to come behind you, and we're going to find a twist here. So maybe the left arm kind of pivots against that bent right leg. Take 2 full deep breaths here. Each time you inhale, get a little taller. Exhale, bring yourself out. job. And then coming back to center, we're gonna switch. So send right leg out. Bring the left leg in. So snugging the sole of left foot into right thigh. And again, make adjustments where you need. Sometimes fleshy parts need to be moved out to the side. And once you feel that rooting down through your seat, let's inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, lead with the heart forward. So hinge with that flat back, either connecting with the foot or allowing the hands to land along the side of the leg. Sink the heart down, please. And then once you've found that length in your body, soften the head down. Notice the shift and change in the tempo of your breath in this shape with added compression through the belly, the diaphragm. Where can you consciously add that depth in through the breath with this challenge in shape? Three more breaths here. Make that final breath just as deep down to the center of your belly. And as you welcome a fresh inhale, begin to peel yourself up. Excellent. Invite that left knee up. Take a moment to adjust your seat as you cross that left leg over. Find the length. Again, if you need to lift the seat up a little bit sometimes to give you a little bit of added height, that's helpful. But we're grounding that right foot down as best as we can. Also make sure that this right leg stays energized, so you're pressing the back of that right leg into the floor. And then inhale, find that lengthen through the spine. Exhale, the left hand pivots behind, and maybe the right hand comes around. Some of us may even have the space to bend into that right elbow as well, to create a little deepening as we twist. Again, it's more important that we're finding that lengthening up. And then exhale, twist. So don't force the body to kind of go somewhere it's not ready to go. You're bringing it to an edge where you're not compromising the length and health of the spine. Because over time, as we just soften into those areas, we'll start to notice places in the body begin to yield a little bit better. Over time, that's why we practice. Do 2 more breaths here. Good job. And then slowly making your way back to center. Unhook the feet. Lean back on your hands and then just allow the ankles to roll. Unlock any tension, roll the shoulders out, whatever you need. And we're going to use our blocks here today, friends, to set ourselves up for a fish. It's a little bit of a heart opener here. Using the blocks rather to support you. Now, if you have a bolster at home and you'd rather use that for this posture, that's also a beautiful option. If we're using blocks, please set one block on its highest setting. And then you're going to take your second block and just put it on its first setting, just kind of lengthwise a little bit in front of the taller block. And as you soften your body down, you want that bottom block to just kind of land in the mid-back. So for most of us wearing perhaps like a sports bra or something like that, it tends to land around that lower band. For others who are not, you're aiming for that space in between the shoulder blades. So as you soften here, just allow the legs to be long. And then you can, once you're settled here, you can explore the height of that kind of block supporting the head. So maybe you wish to turn it on its side first. We're creating this lift through the chest. Maybe the block lowers even down to the first setting and the chin really swoops up towards the ceiling. That just again, opening throat chakra. Let the palms face skyward here as the arms just kind of sink out to the side. Invite the body to just drape itself over top of the props effortlessly. Feel the freedom of your breath with the diaphragm having full capacity at the front torso to now move with added space. Relax the lower half of your body fully. When you feel the front body get a little lighter, as the back body sinks down a little heavier. Release any holding of the shoulders into their sockets as they just kind of fall out to the side. Allowing each breath to unlock any blockages from the heart. Allow yourself to receive the posture. And feel the pulsation of your cells. Maybe it's a buzzing or a light warmth or beating through the tips of your fingers, your toes. Allowing yourself presence without getting caught up with any preconceived notions as far as what the posture is supposed to be. Just experiencing it fully in this moment. Allow your eyes to sink a little heavier into their socket. Just a few more breaths here. Now, the option will be yours as we either choose to transition out of this shape and come into a traditional corpse pose for Shavasana or any other shape that is calling to you. So if you are choosing to move, we must mindfully do so we keep the body safe. So please begin by just bending one leg at a time as you ground soles of feet onto the earth. And avoiding yourself from rising straight up, you're going to allow yourself to roll off of those blocks onto one side. So perhaps you just gently come off, and then you can reach back, maybe move props out of the way. If you're finding your way back over onto the back body, then take your time to just slowly find your way there. Extend the legs back long, maybe grabbing a blanket, making sure the body is warming up as you come to rest now. Receiving all the benefits of your practice as you release that connection and awareness to the breath. I'll keep our time for us, so just feel free to go adrift. And some words today from Katie Buman. When we connect to that gentle place within, that deep place of resonant truth, we no longer need to search so hard to find the magic in life. We actually become it. so gently you can begin to deepen your next breath. Slow and gentle, welcoming of movement back into the physical body. Slow, gentle rock of the head from side to side, receiving a little massage to the back of the skull. Gentle wiggling of fingers and toes, maybe roll out, wrists and ankles. And taking your time to bend through the legs one at a time, grounding soles of feet back onto the earth. Gathering up just enough strength through your center to roll to one side. Preferably the right if that's available to you, especially if you're exiting fish pose. Making sure to just cradle the head, so extending that bottom right arm long, maybe bending at the elbow. And as you draw the knees in a little bit closer towards your center, find a nourishing deep inhale in through the nose and sigh out the mouth. Take one more breath just like that. Breathe in deep. And let it go. And gently inviting a rise to the body. You can come towards a comfortable seat. Either reaching for a nearby prop or a pillow, something to raise the hips just a little bit higher than the knees. Once landing there, let's share one breath together in community to close our practice today. Inhale, send your arms out to the side. As you exhale, your hands down to Namaste, heart center. A gentle bow of your head, thanking yourself for your practice. And I thank each and every one of you for your continued trust in allowing me to share these ancient teachings with all of you in your journey. Until next time, my friends. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peaceful body, peaceful mind, peaceful spirit.